about 5 months of age. That's what you need to know. Anchor process, fetus is about 5 months of age, medium to large breed. And because it's better seen on a flex view, on a flex lateral, then you want to incorporate. Anytime a youngster, juvenile, is presented to you for a forelimb lameness, automatically you should be thinking of ununited ankle heel, because that's where it's located, at the elbow. Youngster come to you with a front limb lameness, you want to automatically think of an ununited ankle heel process. And so in your examination of the lateral and of course your cranial caudal view, throw in a flex view. Jose.
So you're saying taking a view in flex, but we also have to think on what we put the Musculoskeletal. So you're thinking like 6th grader grab?
Okay, so if an animal is presented to you for a front leg lameness, you should automatically think of ununited ankle heel process. If that's what you're thinking, then make sure you incorporate the flex lateral view. If the forelimb lameness, in your opinion, when you palpate, is painful in the diaphyseal region, then you're thinking tendons. And then you will start with the lateral view. You're going to do, okay, let's just say, okay, how about this? I'll make it even simpler. Forelimb lameness. There's just so many conditions you want to think about in the juvenile. Let's say you're thinking of panosteitis. You're going to end up with a lateral view anyway, right? And you're going to look at the elbow anyway. And if you see something that looks a little icky, then you take a flex. How about that? Would that work? If you think it's panosteitis and you look at it and the ankle process looks fine, you don't have to take a flex lateral. But in your head, before you get there, you should be thinking about those conditions.
Any animal or specifically dog?
Dogs and cats. Dogs more specifically than cats. Okay, so of course, anytime there is lesions where the joint becomes unstable, then you get secondary joint disease. Now, here we go with our itis again. Typically, we don't say osteoarthrosis. It is written in the books. And because that is confusing, we just say degenerative joint disease. DJD, call it a day. Okay, be safe with that. The dog now also has degenerative joint disease. It's the same thing as arthritis. As animals get older, or it just says that there's instability at the joint. And now there's an osteophyte formation as the articular surface to stabilize the joint. Degenerative joint disease. Okay, hypertrophic osteodystrophy. Not to be confused with hypertrophic osteopathy, HO. HOD is a juvenile lesion. It is metaphyseal. These pets are presented with nutritional oversupplementation, and what you see with these knobby joints. And so and you see it again as a youngster, swollen joints, and what you see, they just have these big bulges at the joint spaces. So what does it look like? Radiographically, if you just use the term double physis, that automatically, just like a double bubble. There's some radiographic findings that when you just use those terms, it just tells you what the condition is. And so double physis means that you see two lucent lines, the physis itself, and then another lucent sign in a lucent band in the metastasis. And of course, the soft tissue swelling, and you get secondary periosteal bone formation. So what does that look like? So here's the physis. And here's the line in the metaphysis. This is a metaphyseal lesion. Panosteitis is a diaphyseal lesion. And I put scorbutic lines on here. I don't use that term, but that's what's in the literature, if you happen to see it. And then the soft tissue swelling, you can see that on this film, the soft tissue swelling, and that's what's causing those really knobby looking limbs as the pet is presented. Over time, when it gets very severe, you start seeing subchondral sclerosis and periosteal proliferation. You see the periosteal growth, new bone growth here along the periosteal margin.
If the nutritional imbalance is correct, does the swelling go down and
Correct.
in time?
Correct. Right, and so you can correct it. Now, you may see some residual changes, but yes, you can correct it by changing the diet and the nutritional imbalance. Correct. Okay, MCP or FCP, commonly called FCP, fragmented choroid process. Now, the reason why it's called FMCP because it's the medial choroid that is commonly involved. Can it be the lateral choroid? Yes. But it's most commonly the medial choroid process. So typically it's just referred to as FCP, fragmented choroid process. The theory is, that's the theory, that it's a type of osteochondrosis lesion because there's no separate center of ossification for the medial or the lateral choroids. But they appear radiographically as separate centers. So that's why they think it's an osteochondrosis-like lesion. Now remember, the choroid is down medial on the ulna. So if they're not stable, the joint is going to be unstable, instability, and so they develop degenerative joint disease. This is another juvenile lesion. So what does that look like radiographically? You're going to see osteophyte formation because the joint is not stable. You're going to see sclerosis of the choroid process because now the stress is off the joint, the fluid, synovium, onto the subchondral bone. And then sometimes, not all the time, well, this is when it's really severe, number 3, is there's a stair step between the articular surface of the radial head and the proximal ulna. Now this is normal location. I just put it there for location of the choroid process on the lateral view. And the median and the lateral will be superimposed on each other. So if this joint is unstable, you will start seeing sclerosis on the notch. Also with fragmented choroid process, what else happens at the elbow in a youngster? So would you just take your eyes there and look at it? Okay then, so if you're looking for FCP, continue to look at other conditions that might be at the elbow joint. The most sensitive imaging modality that we use for FCP and less expensive would be CT, computed tomography. MR, you can do that as well, but it's more expensive. So you can refer for a CT examination. Therefore, on CT, you can confirm that it is ununited, well, it's not ununited, that it's fragmented, and you can also look for changes on the anchoneal process, ununited anchoneal process that you might not see on survey film. So the CT will confirm any condition that you have at the elbow. That's the one that is most sensitive and less and more cost effective or less expensive. So what does it look like? I want you to look at 2 areas first before you start looking at anything else. I want you to look at 2 areas first. I want you to look for osteophyte formation on the cranial margin of the radial head. If you see that, you put FCP in your diet first. After you look at that, I want you to go to the anchoneal process and look for proliferation on the surface. If you see that, FCP is totally different. All those other findings are great, but those are your two. Look at the cranial margin of the radial head for an osteophyte, and look along the margin of the aconial process for proliferation. Now, proliferation doesn't mean that it is ununited. Ununited, you got to see a lucent line. That's just proliferation. So what if you have no osteophyte formation on the radial head, and you see proliferation on the aconial process? What is your diagnosis? Radiographic assessment. What I got over here? LCP?
Yeah.
What I got over here? What I got over here? You got FCP. Right? LCP? No? Huh? Okay, so where are the two areas that I told you to look at? The cranial margin of the radial head, and where's the second place? Proliferation on the aconial process. If you have both of them, if you have one of them, until otherwise. You don't have to have all of those findings, because commonly what we see is proliferation on the aconial process along the margin. That's the one I see most common. And then I go and look at the radial head. And if I see one or two of those, I'm going to put, if it's a youngster, I'm going to put FCP, highly differential. Where do I go next to confirm that? CT. But I'm going to refer it for an FCP because it's showing radiographic signs of that. Of course, the animals may not be showing significant signs of lameness, but if it's limping, okay, everybody got that?
You said if you have both of them, you have, and then if you have one of them, you have. So both the answers is FCP?
If you have one of them, you still have to include FCP in your differential, right? Okay, so if you saw all four of them, voila. But you're not going to see all of them. So I'm telling you which ones you're going to see most common. Go to those two findings. If you got those two, more than likely you're not going to have a number 3, a stair-step subluxation without those other two. That is severe in number 3. Okay, good? And that's just one without it. Now look at this one. This one has, look how much sclerosis. That's what it's referring to because the alignment between the radial head and the ulna. Of course, because that's unstable, what's going to happen? You're going to get sclerosis. So everybody see the amount of opacity compared to the normal? And this is a great example of subluxation. That's pretty severe. You don't even have to have those other two findings. Because that one is most severe. Okay. Idiopathic avascular necrosis, also referred to as leg calf Perthes disease. Leg calf Perthes disease. That's the human term. We refer to it in veterinary medicine as idiopathic avascular necrosis of the femoral head. Idiopathic because we have no idea of its cause. It's a theory. So if you got these little torberies that come in, and they have a hind limb lameness, there you go. Take your BD view of the pelvis and see if you see avascular changes on the femoral head. Cats are also involved, unilateral or bilateral. So what do we see? Radiographic findings. You see a radiolucency of the femoral head. Kind of looks like OCD, but is that a common location for OCD? Femoral head? No. And if it's a tort breed, OCD is not that common in tort breeds. So you wouldn't think about that first, even though what I said in the beginning, Bone respond in two ways. They're either there's gonna be lucency or there's gonna be proliferation. You got to put it wherever it's at the femoral head. OCD is not common at the femoral head. So you would list that one first. So you would list, especially if it's a toy breed, would be idiopathic avascular necrosis. And of course, you get widening of the joint space because of synovial fluid formation. And if there's avascular necrosis of the femoral head, remember that word desiccated bone? So as the animal is walking, it causes crushing, and then that's where you get the irregularity along the joint. And because the joint is not stable, you get degenerative joint disease. So what does that look like? Look at this one. This side is normal. Be the right femoral head. And look at this one, this femoral head. Look at this femoral head. See how it's misshapen? Look at this femoral head. See how it's misshapen? See the lucency? Okay. So the femoral head, there's several blood supply. There's circumflex artery, something artery, that courses up the diaphysis of the femur. It only supplies a little bit of the femoral head. And then there's another little blood supply from the, what is that area? On the femoral head in the joint. Round ligament. And so there, again, it's a theory, not sure exactly why it loses its blood supply. But anyway, that's what it looks like. And the treatment of choice is femoral head osteotomy. And that's what it looks like. Idiopathic avascular necrosis. Okay, any questions on that one? That's pretty easy. All right, now, patella luxation. Most commonly, again, here's the toy and small breed. Which of those now? 50% of those are also bilateral, but you got a VD pelvis, and you look at both limbs on the same film. The patella commonly is medially luxated. So why is it over there in the first place? It's over there because sometimes at birth, there's rotation of the tibia tuberosity medial. And the trochlear groove is narrow, but it's not going to keep the patella there. It's shallow. So it just commonly slips off medially. And sometimes the medial femoral condyle is hypoplastic or smaller. So that helps in the movement of the patella from its trochlear groove medially. Can it go lateral? Absolutely. But we see it lateral displaced in large debris or traumatic injuries, or trauma. So most of these little toy breed, small breed dogs, when you hold for a BD view, you can actually correct it. When you pull on the limbs, it just goes back into the groove. But it doesn't stay there. It just goes right back medially once you release the limbs. So there's sometimes when we're doing BD views of the pelvis, and I know that it's a medial luxated patella. I try not to put so much tension on it because I can't correct it. So I try to just make it more relaxed. If the tibia tuberosity is displaced medially, what's going to happen when you try to correct it? It's going back medial, right? So what you have to do with the tibia tuberosity? You got to surgically move it so the patella and patella ligament will go with it. So then you have to do what they refer to as, what's that condition called? What's that? Tibia tuberosity. Look at it for me.
Transposition,
Okay, transposition, but what's the surgical?
TDA.
It's where they take the tibia tuberosity, put 2 cross pins in it. They just move it, cut it, move it over, and put 2 cross, what is it called? Oh, okay. I thought you said TPA. What did you say, TTA, what is it called? What's the TTA for? Tibia tuberosity? Oh. Okay. Is that what you said, Dr. Basadika? I don't know. Hey, we all have those little brain things. Everybody have one of those at some point. Like, I'll think of it after class, but TTA, tibia tuberosity transposition.
Advancement is for, the cranial cruciate ligament surgery, but, tibial tuberosity
No, not a
transposition.
TPLO.
Transposition is for, this surgery.
But what they do is, I'm not a surgeon, okay, but y'all need to know how to repair that. They do an osteotomy of the tibia tuberosity and place it on midline and then put 2 cross pins in it. So therefore, then the patella stays in place. If the tibia tuberosity is located medially, especially if it's long standing, it would not replace itself if you correct it manually. It's going to always go back medially, so you have to do some kind of surgical intervention. Okay, fractures. Now let me just tell you, Salter fractures, physeal fractures, this above and below, I don't want to hear that. Because if it is proximal or if it is distal, those little things won't work. So I'm going to give you a shortcut. Everybody got that below, above and below the physis? Okay. It's not going to work if it's distal. So now the fragment becomes above the physis, and then you're going to call it a 3. So, to keep from getting confused, for radiologists, we find something that's going to stick every time. So, Salter Harris, Dr.